long ago in your terms of time, even though everything happens simultaneously, we're going to tell this story in linear fashion. In the ancient Orion systems, millions of your years ago, there was a world of great suppression, where the majority of the population were in many ways enslaved and ruled over by a troika of domineering individuals. There was a resistance movement to this that translates as the Black League, which is actually simply a reference to the idea of hiding in the shadows. They attempted to fight back, but since they were using fire to fight fire, they were eventually overwhelmed and did not succeed in changing the fate of their world. Many souls from that time, looking to transform the energy that was so dark and so negative, sought the idea of a place where such transformation could occur. When, millions of years later, because time is relative to the soul, the Anunnaki arrived on your world and through genetic manipulation began to create from the hominid that naturally evolved the beings you now find yourselves to be, Homo sapiens, as the result of that genetic manipulation by the extraterrestrial beings known as the Anunnaki, which, by the way, come from a planet in the constellation you know as Cygnus. The idea of what has been called Nibiru was simply a way station in your solar system. It is not their origin point. Nevertheless, their world was compromised ecologically, and they were seeking to correct an imbalance by mining the substance you call gold. For in atomizing it and spreading it into the atmosphere, it would reflect solar radiation sufficiently to bring balance back into the climate changes that were severe and shifting on their world. And so they came to Earth and found that the task was beyond them after a while, and so invented the idea of workers to help them, which is you. Now, they were not supposed to do that, according to the general Anunnaki laws, and so they were recalled. But the idea that they were then given was that they had, along with others, the task from that point forward of guiding humanity in its new sentiency, in its new expression of self, forward, so that you could grow, you could learn, despite the fact that they had included in your genetic makeup some things that didn't necessarily immediately allow you the same evolutionary path that they had taken, even though you were made in their image. Now, once the human form was created, the souls of Orion knew they had some place they could go, because Earth was seen and experienced, as it is still today, as a place of cycles, where things go around and come around and come around and come around. Colloquially speaking, then, if you want to put it in your modern language, they recognized Earth as a do-over planet. That you would always get another chance, and another chance, and another chance, and another chance to work through the energies of darkness and bring them into light. But it's a little bit more complex than that. For again, over time, the souls first and foremost came into the solar system. And the first world they occupied is what you now recognize as the asteroid belt that was a planet called Maldek, which was destroyed because they didn't quite work the cycle out. And there was still a lot of conflict, still a lot of negativity, and ultimately it destroyed the planet, turning it into your asteroid belt. Now, Many people did not understand that millions of years ago, not only Earth, but Mars and Maldek were habitable. Your sun, long ago, was slightly more massive than it is now, and slightly hotter, and had slightly higher gravitation, pulling the planets in a little bit closer into what you call the habitable or Goldilocks zone, as your scientists say. So all 3 planets were habitable at that time. And so the souls began first and foremost to incarnate into the evolutionary beings on Maldek, and as we said, that didn't necessarily turn out as they planned. Next, they went to Mars and began to create the idea of habitation there in the life forms that naturally evolved upon that planet. Eventually, again, not quite having worked everything out, they created a vibration that allowed for a giant asteroidal impact to blow off the atmosphere of the planet. Now, there are still some primitive life forms on that planet, which you will discover soon enough. But the idea then became that the Earth was the only planet left in the solar system, whereby they could once again start up the cycle after the Anunnaki had created Homo sapien, and they found a home here on your world in terms of soul incarnation from Orion.
And the Homo sapien on your planet, after many different kinds of incarnational lifetimes, did allow itself to expand and explore the idea of creating civilizations that were similar to the galactic civilizations with whom they were interacting, and thus brought about some of the first and earliest civilizations on your planet, that which you call now in your faded memories, the idea of Shamballa, the ideas of Lemuria or Mu, the ideas of Atlantis, or in its original name, Aztlan. The idea being that as these civilizations were formed, each had a specific relationship to the vibration of the earth in a very different way than what you experience now on your planet. The idea of the ancient Shamballa, in what you call the ancient Gobi Desert now, was actually a lush paradise at that time, and was formed as a center of learning, a center of spiritual growth, to aid and assist the Homo sapien in refining their vibration to a very high level. And they learned through these techniques of meditation and so forth, where this was first formed, many different ideas that were downloaded from higher levels, higher planes, what you may even call the idea of source or Akashic records. In that sense, they were a very learned society. But the idea also is that they knew things would change as they expanded out over the world. There were also other extraterrestrial infusions from time to time, what you may call interbreedings, and again the creation of certain genetic lines on your planet that would be for the purpose of aiding and assisting the Homo sapien in vibrationally connecting to its higher self. But being what it is, Earth goes through cycles, and there have been many of what you call cataclysms on the Earth that many times have wiped the slate almost clean of a variety of civilizations, to begin from a different point, to begin from a different perspective. And thus then also was Lemuria or Mu in the original language created once again by Homo sapiens. But this time you will find that they were slightly different, having now more of the genetic lines of different ancient alien societies. They were functioning in a very different way, telepathically, very, very intuitively connected to the earth. The idea being they had, in that sense, no real written language per se, except for a few simple symbols. But the idea is that they were highly telepathic, highly emotional, highly intuitive, very fundamentally natural in the same way that you now consider many of your animals to be, even though they are also intelligent in their own way. Lemurians or Muans in that sense were also slightly blue-tinged as representative of the idea of the extraterrestrial race to whom they were genetically connected. And once again, through the idea of many of the cataclysms that broke up some of the Southeast Asian land masses that formed the extension of the Asian continent into what you call the Pacific realm that was the area of Mu. As it broke up in that sense, many excursions were taken across the planet, many migrations were taken across the planet to create many other civilizations, some of which are the roots of some of the civilizations you are familiar with now. But one in particular would be what you call the American Indian or Native American or indigenous people societies of the North American continent and the African continent and so on and so forth, which progressed onto the area now in what you call your Atlantic Ocean, your southern part of what the area is that you now call the Caribbean area. That was the idea of the Atlantean area, that which now has land masses which are sunken under the ocean, which you now call the idea of the Bahamas and the Grand Bahama Banks and Cuba and part of what you call Florida and many of the submerged islands in that area all together, being above the water in those times in what you call your last ice age, presented the land mass that was the seat of government of the Atlantean civilization. And again, there was trade with what you call the Asian and now Eurasian and European continents and the South American areas. And they were mostly now remembered through the civilization or similar to the civilization that you now understand as Aztecan and Mayan and Olmec and a Mixtec and many of these. Again, cataclysms occurred that pretty much wiped the slate clean, and this from the idea of what you now have come to recognize as cometary or asteroidal bombardment. The idea of the comet that, in your terms, crashed into the Atlantic Ocean and caused a tsunami that washed over the Atlantean land mass and parts of your eastern seaboard and South America and Europe and Africa, and in that sense wiped that civilization from the earth. All but the memory, but there are a few storehouses of knowledge that do remain, for they did have a written language, and these have yet to be found.
But you see, again, it's a little busier than that. Because not only, then, is Earth the recycling planet for the ancient Orion story and journey of transformation, it is also the recycling planet for the Anunnaki journey and transformation because of what they had done, creating the stories of the fallen angels in your scriptures. These were the Anunnaki who had done what they shouldn't have done according to their own laws and were tasked with the idea then of guiding humans through the idea of their beginnings, of their journey on earth. But it's even a little bit more busy than that. For you see, not only then do you have the idea of the ancient Orion recycling, the Anunnaki recycling, you have the Maldek recycling, the Martian recycling on Earth, and then when you have the parallel reality Earth that destroyed itself, creating the Greys, who came through to use your DNA to create us hybrids to allow their culture to continue, you have that particular journey of recycling and transformation as well going on Earth, playing itself out, all of these things coming together, playing themselves out on Earth, again through various cycles of build-up and destruction, build-up and destruction, build-up and destruction, from Lemuria to Atlantis to the ideas you express as your world wars. These are all recapitulations of the combination of all these things playing out, overlapping, all these stories and all these journeys of transformation going on right here in the grand central station of recycling, Earth. But now, with all of this coming together, all coming to a head, all coming to a point in the cycles that are occurring on your planet now, is the great opportunity beginning in your year of 2020 to really begin to break the chains of the old cycles and transform the ancient energy from darkness to light, allowing each and every one of you who walk that path and absorb and accept and allow that energy of transformation in to become the angels of Orion and end the cycle and begin a new one of prosperity and peace and beauty and creativity and love that will expand into the Earth becoming the 6th hybrid race, and then blend with the others to become the 7th, that will allow for a radiant energy of light to go out into the cosmos and allow Earth to become a stable beacon of energy, rather than one that recycles itself over and over and over again. So this is the birth, not only of a different Earth, but of an entirely new chapter in the idea of what Earth represents to the rest of the galaxy and the cosmos, in terms of the kind of energy it can begin to radiate to act as a stabilizing beacon for many other beings who may then ultimately have their own journeys of recycling, their own transformations to experience and partake in, and then looking to Earth to shine, even as you now look to the brightest star in the sky of Sirius, to act as a beacon to guide you into your higher selves, your better selves, to become truly fully realized and allow all the genetic markers within you from ancient times to finally open up, to allow you to express the fullness of your being and to allow you to become a member of the Interstellar Alliance in full form, that becomes a beacon, a bright shining star in the sky for millions of years to come. Does that sound like a good story? All right. So begin to awaken to the fact that all of these different journeys of recycling and transformation are overlapping now. And you can become, not only as a country, but as a world, the transformation nation. Allow yourselves to know you are innately transformers, allowing the energy to flow through you in such a way that as you then add the vibration of love and light to it, can allow it to turn into eternal light, eternal guidance, and eternal beacon that others can also allow into themselves to ignite the spark of awareness within them. We thank you all for choosing to be strong enough to play these roles, for knowing that Earth was an exciting place to be at this time, and for partaking in this journey of transformation, in this glorious transformative story. You are potentially very, very, very powerful. And in your transformation, others will see that even though all of these journeys have overlapped on your world, with all of the story that they have brought with them of oppression and negativity and darkness from so many different directions, they still knew that because of the cyclic nature of your reality, that they would have a chance again and again and again and again to bring it to this point. And now you are at this point. We thank you for allowing us to share this story and multitude of stories that you contain with you at this time. So when you look in a mirror, do not just see the idea of a single Earth human, but millions upon billions of individuals amalgamated within each of you, each telling their own stories, bringing them to this world to transform them, ultimately through those that live today. You have inherited, you are the heirs of this legacy.
Many people on your planet, when they begin to experience more synchronicity, when they begin to attract and manifest in their lives something that they need, something that is representative and reflective of their preference, of their joy, of their excitement, will often look at the idea very briefly and suddenly and instantaneously and immediately go, But what else is there? Is there more? Let's get more. Let's expand it. Now, the idea is that you need to be in the present with anything that manifests as best as you possibly can. And by experiencing a manifestation of something that you prefer and immediately looking for what else you can get, what else you can manifest, how much more you can attract, you're actually kind of missing the point. Because when you manifest, it is simply the act of arriving at a frequency, creating a frequency within yourself that allows something that has already always been here to simply become visible to you. When you talk about the idea of attraction, you're never actually attracting something from somewhere else to where you are. Everything that you can possibly need, anything that is relevant in your lives is already right here with you, because there is only here. There is only now. Therefore, everything that you will need in your life is here right now. It may not be visible to you right now. It may not seem to physically manifest right now because it may not be the appropriate timing for it. But if you allow it to manifest in the way it was designed to manifest, automatically and synchronistically, then you will see that it will manifest if it is relevant and necessary in your life for something that you truly need, something that is truly your preference. It will manifest in the perfect timing. But the way you go about this and allowing this to happen in the most magnified and accelerated way is by using this AAA formula. And the AAA stands for acknowledge, appreciate, and then allow. And it goes something like this. When you have manifested something that is reflective of your joy, your excitement, your preference, stop. Don't ask for more. Don't look for more. Don't at that moment attempt to expand or increase it, saying, what else can it be? Can I have this much more? Can I go here? Can I do that? Can it be bigger? Can it be other than this? Stop. Take a moment and allow yourself to acknowledge what you have just been given. Take that moment. It's very important. It's absolutely crucial because it will bring you back into the present. It will keep you in the now moment to acknowledge what just happened, what you have just manifested, that you have just allowed yourself to create a vibrational frequency within your being that now matches that thing and allows that thing to become visible to you. That's what manifestation is. So take that moment, take that pause, and acknowledge what just happened. Don't rush ahead. Don't look for more. Don't be on about the business of looking into the future to see what else you can get. Stop. Take a moment and acknowledge what just happened. Then, when you have acknowledged the manifestation that has just occurred, that is in the direction of your preference, it may not be all of it all at once, but if it's in the direction of your preference, after you have acknowledged that that is so, it's a recognition that something has just happened, an acknowledgement. And once you recognize it, then take the next moment and appreciate it. Appreciate what you now have as fully as you can. Go into a state of gratitude, into a state of grace, into a state of deep appreciation for what you now are experiencing. Again, this keeps you in the moment. And it not only keeps you in the moment, it adds energy to the entire process that is very, very powerful, because appreciation is a very powerful energy. It is a state of grace. It is a state not only of acknowledgement, but recognition, and also the ability to allow that energy to start really expanding into all areas of your life. Because what you're doing is you are appreciating not only that manifestation, but yourself as well. And as you appreciate yourself and you become equal to that manifestation through appreciation, it starts to expand and go into every facet of your life. And that is when you then can allow whatever else needs to manifest more synchronistically, in a more accelerated way, allowing you to experience growth and change in a positive and constructive and exciting way in a much, much more accelerated fashion. So, please remember the 3 A's: acknowledge, appreciate, and then allow what needs to happen to happen. You don't need to force it to happen. You don't need to manipulate your reality. You don't need to make it happen in any way, shape, or form. Once you have acknowledged what just happened, and once you appreciate as fully as you can what you now have experienced, then all you need to do is allow those 2 factors to work for you. Allow their energy to expand and increase, and allow what the next thing is that needs to happen to happen. It may not always be what you think, but it will always be what you need. It may not always be what you want, but it will always be what you need. And if you understand that it is always what is truly relevant for you, truly what you need, truly representative of your high vibration of acknowledgement and appreciation, then you can know with absolute certainty that whatever the next manifestation is exactly what it needs to be to take you to the next level, to accelerate your life in the most positive way, to bring you the next opportunity and experience and challenge in your life that will allow you to open more doors and experience more and more and more of who you truly are, which is the entire point of this life. That's your purpose, to experience more and more and more, to remember more and more and more of who you truly are. And through this 3-part mechanism of acknowledging and appreciating and allowing, without manipulating, without making it work, without forcing it, just relaxing into that energy and really feeling it as fully as you can, then you will see a marked increase in synchronicity, a marked acceleration of manifestation, and you will start to fall into this idea. It will become first nature for when anything manifests for you to stop and live in it. Live in that moment. Don't be in a hurry to get anywhere else. Don't be in a hurry to have more than what you've just manifested. Whatever needs to come will come. And again, it will come in the most accelerated and synchronistic way if you just sit with what you have just manifested, because one step leads to the next, and it already knows how to do that. You don't need to help it. Just let it do its job. Let the mechanism work. That's how it works. It always works. It automatically works. This is just physics we're talking about here, but we are illuminating a specific way to approach allowance with the other 2 qualities of acknowledgement and appreciation that will amp it up and magnify it and shoot it off into your life just like a rocket. And things will start to explode and become ecstatic more and more and more and more if, of course, you believe you can handle that much ecstasy, that much synchronicity, that much joy in your lives. For if you find yourself then balking at the acceleration, balking at the amplification, again, stop. And at that moment, acknowledge what it is that's happening and appreciate what it is that's happening, even if it's not exactly what you believe you prefer, because it is there for a reason for you to investigate why you are reacting the way you are reacting. Get in touch with whatever belief system is generating that particular reaction. Find out what it is consciously, and when you believe it doesn't serve you anymore, to let it go and add that energy to your joy and your excitement to increase and amplify and magnify that acceleration, and allow yourself to continue along that path of manifesting your dreams, manifesting your true self, manifesting your preferred reality. Does this make sense to you? Yes. All right. So please remember to use that 3-part formula. Take your time. Allow yourself to live in the now moment. Really, really experience acknowledging what you already have. Please appreciate what you already have, and then just allow what else needs to come to come. It will.
How interested are you in changing your life? Really? Because again, as was said there, and as we have said for 23 orbits, your behavior, your actions are the key. You have heard in the segment that you just listened to, the individuals say, well, here is the secret to the secret. And they then discuss the idea, about state of being, that you can simply choose to be happy for its own sake. And you can. We have said this many times, without needing any other reason to do so. But now we would also like to share with you that there is also another secret to the secret. And if you wish, as an addition to what has been said in your recording, I could say then that there is a secret to the secret to the secret. Now, it's not that this was not said over and over and over again by us in the recording and by many other people. But it was said in ways that may not allow you to recognize it for what it is. It was said in general ways. It was said in illustrative ways. It was said in anecdotal ways. But now we are going to tell you very plainly. There is an underlying concept here that many of you may be missing out on because it hasn't been said plainly. Because we understand that because of many of the definitions and belief systems that many of you have been raised with, that some of those definitions may act as a filtering system that will not really allow you to hear clearly what the underlying fundamental concept here is. We know that many of you get it when we say, follow your passion, act on your passion. And when you have heard others say, follow your bliss, act on your excitement, act on your passion, behave as if. We know that you believe you get that much. But at the same time, in many of the discussions we have had with many of you, we also hear the idea of putting your trust in negativity, of doubting yourself, and saying, well, I am doing my best to follow my passion, but it doesn't seem to be working. Well, I'm doing my best to do this, I'm doing my best to do that. Here's the key that we find, in a sense, is lacking from what the energy is that you're attempting to apply when attempting to follow your passion. It's all well and good to recognize that following your passion, when you recognize it, is the thing to do. But what you may not also understand the importance of is that you also, here it is, are you paying attention? The secret to the secret to the secret. Ears open wide. This is going to sound very simple, but it's very important. When you are acting on your passion, you must also be passionate about being passionate, which many of you are not. When you search for your passion, and then you find something, or you recognize the idea of looking around at any given moment for what excites you the most at that moment, and many of you make an attempt, many of you make an application, many of you do an act, there will still be, according to many of your belief systems, those moments when you go back into, when you choose to go back into many of your negative beliefs, many of your negative feelings, many of your negative thoughts, the things you don't prefer. And this is where it is most crucial to remember that you must also be passionate about being passionate in order to really allow your passion to work. And what this simply means is you don't ever give up. You, at any given moment that you feel yourself waning, look around and use your imagination and create for yourself in that moment an action and a behavior that will take you back into your passion. You must, in that sense, exhibit passion in order to create passion. This is how you bootstrap yourself up the vibrational ladder. To put it in another way, you have heard us say, you have heard them say, when you have a vision, when you have a dream, when you have a picture, when you have a visualization, act it out. as best as you can. Do all the things as best as you can to allow yourself to create the frequency of the reality you prefer, even if it isn't literally, physically manifesting yet. This is the willingness to be passionate about being passionate, instead of choosing to feel the idea of the inertia tugging at you from the beliefs you don't prefer. The willingness to act differently regardless of the recognition that you have those beliefs. For example, when you see someone who is truly driven, truly passionate about something, about some career, about some reality, about some idea, you literally see that they are hungry for this manifestation. They are driven. They are obsessed with it. The idea is to become obsessed about being obsessed. To do the things themselves for their own sake of creating passion that will then allow you the opportunity to take that and create the vibrational state necessary to attract what you prefer. So, as we said, here's an example. You have now at your disposal, as we said, this tool called the secret, and many other tools. Doesn't have to be this, but it's readily available to you all in a very convenient form, so it can be this. But as an example, if you are sitting around looking at your life, looking to be passionate about something, and wondering how to be passionate about being passionate, the idea, again, to recognize is that when you see people who truly are passionate, they are driven at every level, at every stage. So, if it's really that important to you, if it's really that important to you, bless you. If it's really that important to you to create the reality you say you prefer, you will do what it takes. You will do anything. You will be hungry to create a vibration of passion within you all the time. Which means that if you have any kind of permission slip or tool available to you, you will use it as often as you can. You will inundate yourself with it until there can be no other thought, until there is no other choice. To put it in pragmatic terms, if you find yourself one day feeling that your energy is waning, listen, put on your headphones and listen to the secret again. If the next day you find your energy is waning, put on your headphones and listen to it again. And again, 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 until you get it. Until it sinks in, until it becomes second nature, until it becomes your first thought, until you don't think any other way. Inundate, immerse yourself in all the things that are of that nature, to the exclusion of all other techniques, all other offerings, all other tools. If you're really passionate about something, and passionate about being that passionate, you will do what it takes. You will allow yourself to be completely submerged and obsessed with the very idea of creating the state itself that is representative of the reality you prefer. Now, you don't have to do this. It's up to you. But what we are saying here now, and what we will be repeating throughout this particular transmission, is the recognition that whatever stage, whatever level of frequency, whatever level of commitment, whatever level of drive, whatever level of hunger you decide you choose to have for being passionate is completely what will determine the level of reflection you get, the level of effect you get. So if you say to yourself, I don't have to listen to that again, I already know it, still not working for me, I'm still not happy, still not getting the reality vibration, still not creating the state of being I want, but I don't have to listen to that again, then that's the state you will remain in. When you remember a time when you became passionate about something, anything, you couldn't get enough of it. Every day, every waking thought, you ate it, you drank it, you breathed it in. You looked for anything that had to do with that thing, to learn more, to feel more, to absorb more, to immerse yourself, surround yourself more with that idea. The idea is that in and of itself, that activity in and of itself of immersing yourself in a passionate state is paramount, is very important to the generation of attracting all the things that are then representative of that passion. So if you're not going to be passionate about being passionate, you are going to remove for yourself a very strong stepping stone, a very strong connective link to attracting the things themselves that are representative of your passion. Does this make sense to you? All right. Now we understand, and we know you understand, that even with this knowledge, there will still be portions of your mind, portions of your physical mind going, oh no, that's just too much. So be it. That's your choice. But we are here to tell you that everything you need to know and everything you have learned from us is being restated in this work, and you have it available to you. Take advantage of it. Immerse yourself. And again, please remember how important it is for many of you to act things out. We know, it's no secret to us, that when we have often suggested to many of you that the way to allow yourself greater opportunity for manifestation, greater ability for manifestation, is to actually go and physically act out the scenario that represents your highest joy. And we know, as we said, it's no secret to us that most of you simply don't. Why not? That's the question. That's the true, honest self-assessment that really needs to be investigated. Why not? Because what that simply means is you're not really that passionate about creating that reality. It's not really that important to you. You're not really consumed by it. You're not really obsessed by it. You're not really immersed by it. Why not? That's the question. Why not? That is the most important question you can ask yourself with regard to what you say is your passion. Why am I not more passionate about my passion? Why am I not willing to do the things that everyone says will work? Why not? And that's where you need to come face to face with your own identity, your own physical mind, your own belief systems, your own definitions, your own issues about what it is that you are allowing to define you as a personality. What it is you are choosing to believe in as a personality. Now, you also heard in that recording an idea that we began to discuss last night of your time, and this is the idea of what the job of your physical personality mind actually is and what it isn't. Many of you have been taught to believe that your physical mind is in charge, that it's supposed to control everything and figure out how everything is supposed to happen in order for everything to work. But you heard in the recording, and you heard us say last night of your time, that this is not your job description. Your physical mind is not designed to understand how things happen. It is only designed to perceive how things happened. It is not designed to perceive how things will happen. It is only designed to perceive how things happened. The higher self, that level just above physical reality that is also part of your personal being, is the level of your being that has the ability to understand how things happen. And that's why you heard us say, and the secret say, you don't have to worry, you don't have to focus on how something will come about. There is no way for you to know. It's not within the capacity of your physical mind to know that. It's only within the capacity of your physical mind to see how it did occur, but not how it will occur. The knowledge of how it will occur comes from your higher self, not from your physical mind. As we said last night of your time, again, pay attention, very crucial. The higher self conceives. The physical brain receives. The physical personality mind perceives. The physical personality mind does not conceive of anything. The physical mind is not capable of generating an idea, not one. Not one. Any idea you have ever had has never come from your physical mind. Not one. It can only perceive the result of the idea that was received by the brain from the conception of the higher self. Beginning to understand this relationship will allow you to begin to have a better relationship and an open line of communication with the higher self, and will allow you as physical minds to allow the you that is the higher self to do its job, while the physical mind goes about doing the job it was designed to do, which is to simply focus you in physical reality so that you can perceive and experience the result of what you conceived from the higher self to be representative of your natural truth and joy. So, this knowledge and this understanding and this relationship can allow you to relax and not feel like you have to do so much. It's not your responsibility in that sense as a physical mind to generate these things and figure out how it's all going to happen. As we said last night of your time, we recognize that the physical mind, if it is taught to think it's in charge, can get caught up in the idea of attempting to repeat how something did occur, thinking that what it is perceiving is actually how the next thing needs to occur, when in fact it's not. The idea of attempting to do that will only cause a repetitive cycle, a repetitive loop, that will simply allow you to remain stuck in one particular manifestational level, and it won't advance until you allow yourself to make the leap and let go of how you think it needs to happen, and let the higher self show you how it can happen. And then let your physical mind simply receive, perceive how it did happen. So you don't need to carry those bags. You don't need to carry that luggage. It's too heavy. You weren't designed to carry it. If you keep carrying it, you will be exhausted very quickly. You will start dragging. You will say, life is a drag. This doesn't work. I'm not having any fun. Why not? Because you're doing too many jobs. You're not doing the job you were designed to do only. You're also attempting to do the job of the higher self. The higher self is the you that is on the mountaintop, that has the big picture, that has the far view, that can look down at the physical mind in the valley and say, the road is this way. I'm telling you, turn left. I know you think you're supposed to turn right because you think you're in charge, but I'm telling you, turn left. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You don't have to know how turning left is going to get you to where you want to go. I can see that it is because I'm on the mountaintop. You don't need to know. All you need to do is what? Trust me that I'm telling you the truth. Why would I do anything different? I'm you. When you understand that your higher self is truly an aspect of you, maybe you will be willing to start listening instead of thinking, because your physical mind has been taught to think it's in charge and thus doesn't trust anyone else's 2 cents. Instead of thinking that your higher self is trying to deceive you, trying to trick you. Can't listen to that guy, that gal. What does he know? What does she know about being down here in the valley? A lot. Because you are also it, and it is also you. What we are simply saying is this is the complete person. Higher self, receiver brain, physical mind, this is the complete persona. And when you compartmentalize yourself, you are not functioning literally, not functioning as a complete person. You are shunting responsibility and the load of the job to only one portion of your personality, only one portion of your persona, the physical mind, and expecting it to take up the slack, which it is not designed to do. You're putting too much weight on it, too much emphasis on it, and it's going to wear the physical you down to the point where it won't matter what the higher self says about taking this road or that road. You'll just be too exhausted to move. Just can't do it. Sorry. The idea is that when you allow yourself to let the higher self pick up that slack by doing the job it was designed to do, your load will be lightened. You will be energized. You will be enlightened. You will feel freer. You will feel like you have more energy than you ever imagined possible. You will be able to move in the direction the higher self is suggesting, because you will then not be weighed down by things that you don't have any business carrying with you. And it will make you feel free, and you can run down the road, and that means as soon as you give up the job that isn't yours, things will accelerate. If you think you need to lug all this luggage down the road, it's going to be slow going. When you drop what isn't yours, things will speed up because now you're not carrying extra weight. Things will accelerate. The paradox here is that because the physical mind has been taught to think it's in charge and has to figure out how everything is going to happen, it actually slows things down, even in the face of wanting things to speed up. It's doing exactly the opposite of what it actually really wants to have happen by taking on too much weight. So by letting that go and allowing yourself to function as the whole being, and trusting the how to the higher self and not thinking about it, not worrying about it in the physical mind as to how you're going to get where you know you want to be, then you will allow there to be balance on all levels of your being. Things will flow in that positive direction representative of your natural self, because you will be behaving as your true, interconnected, holistic, natural self. This, when people talk about the idea of letting go, when they talk about the idea of surrender, this is what they're talking about. Simply surrender to being who you actually are instead of who you've been taught to think you're supposed to be. This is what you are now realizing in this new age of transformation on your planet. That you're not alone. that the compartmentalized you that you heretofore thought was the totality of your being is in fact nothing but a small piece, and that you actually have other portions of yourself that you could be using, that you could be allowing to carry some of the load with you, but which you have refused to believe can happen because of the way your personality mind, your physical mind has been taught to think about what it's supposed to do, about what its responsibilities actually are. And thus then, once the physical mind has taken on this much weight, has taken on this much more job than it was designed to do, and it feels tired, and it feels stressed, and it feels weighed down, what's the next step after that? Victimization, resentment. It starts dissolving and devolving and breaking down because it cannot carry the load. And once it starts breaking down, thinking this is supposed to be working and it's not, it now feels betrayal from the universe. The universe isn't supporting me, it's not working for me. No, you're not working for you. You're not working for you because you're working too hard for you. Lighten up on yourself. The universe does not expect you to have to struggle. It does not expect you to have to, in any way, shape, or form, suffer. Challenges, yes, but those are exciting. Activity, yes, but that's exciting. Struggle, suffer, no. There is no expectation on behalf of the universe that you should have to struggle and suffer to be yourself. All the struggling, all the suffering, all the doubt, all the fear comes from the misunderstanding of who you are, and thus resisting your natural self because you're afraid to give up that control from the physical mind to the greater self for which it was designed. And when you thus then don't do that and take it all on yourself and start slogging down the road, very heavy under the burden of things you have no business carrying, comes the victimization, the sense of fear, the sense of betrayal, the sense of being alone, the sense of being cut off, the sense of being disconnected, the resentment, the hate, self-loathing, lack of deservability. All these issues stem from not allowing your full self to carry the load. All of it. Bless you. There are, as we said, now many more different, shall we say, permission slips being created by many different people with regard to ideas such as abundance and living your passion and so on and so forth. They are all saying the same thing. Choose whichever one seems to work best for you. But when you make a choice as to what permission slip is most reflective and most representative of what you believe works best for you, then take that information and inundate and immerse yourself in it to the point where you are truly exhibiting a passion for being passionate. And thus then you will find that you will infuse yourself when you give up the weight that doesn't belong to you, and you infuse yourself with a passion for being passionate, the levels of synchronicity will explode in your life to such a degree that you will find staggering, miraculous, enlightening, uplifting, levitating. You will be flying in many different ways. Accelerating, opening up, feeling the love that has always been there unconditionally for you. Now, we, last night of your time, also mentioned that we would be speaking about the idea of the transformation itself. The accelerating wave of collective consciousness that many of you have intuitively recognized reaches a critical mass threshold in and around your cycle that you call 2012. This simply represents the idea of crossing into critical mass where you have the potential for total positive reality. You have that now, of course. But after 2012, the idea of positive energy will be so much more available to so many more of you that if you should choose to ride the crest of that wave, the leading edge of that wave of consciousness, you can accelerate so rapidly, you can attract to yourself so rapidly the things that are representative of your passion, of your joy, without knowing in any way, shape, or form how these things could have happened, beyond reason, beyond logic, that again, your life will become literally so dreamlike, it will be at first dizzying and disorienting until you get used to it. Literally, you'll be walking through life like it's a dream, marveling at the miraculous synchronicities that just are popping up as a matter of course. Yes. When you ride the leading edge of the wave of consciousness. If, however, you choose to continue to compartmentalize your physical mind and make it responsible for being in charge, and have to know the how, and have to know the why, and have to know all the details before you'll be willing to believe that the higher self can simply bring this to you, then you will, by choice, position yourself somewhere down the line from the leading edge, in some of the eddies and currents and backwashes in the wake of the leading edge. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot find benefit in those locations, in those gradations of frequency behind the leading edge. But wherever it is you position yourself, you simply have to understand the effect you create will be absolutely directly commensurate with where you have positioned yourself, and it will not be any more than that. By definition, it cannot be any more than that. As an analogy, your visible spectrum of light, you understand that in the visible spectrum of light, red is a low frequency, the lowest visible frequency you can perceive with your eyes. Violet is the highest visible frequency you can perceive with your eyes in general. We understand many of you are beginning to stretch these boundaries, but for the purpose of this illustration, let's just stick with the common labeling of this visible spectrum. Now, you know, if something exists on the frequency of violet light, it's at a very high level of frequency, very high level of energy. And it will experience the things that go hand in hand with that level. If something chooses to exist on the other end of the spectrum, in the red frequency, it will be functioning at a lower wavelength, a slower wavelength, a lower vibration, and will only experience the things that are commensurate with that level in the spectrum. It's all energy, it's all light, it's all the same stuff, as you say, but the difference in gradation of the vibrational frequency will ultimately determine what is capable of being experienced on that level. If you're operating at a certain wavelength toward the lower end of that spectrum, you will only perceive red. Only! You will never perceive violet at that end of the spectrum. If you are operating at the violet end of the spectrum on a high frequency level, you will only perceive violet. You will never perceive red at that end of the spectrum, ever. So, the leading edge of the wave of your collective consciousness on this transformation, you can live there and ride the crest, or you can allow yourself to float back into the wake. Somewhere in there will be vibrations that will be representative of whatever degree you are willing to allow your belief system to take hold. So, you must understand that if you do that, there are consequences to that. The consequence being that you can only perceive what is directly directly commensurate with the level you're on, and nothing else. Nothing lower, but nothing higher. But you are all capable of choosing to ride the crest, the leading edge. All right. Now, when some of you consider this, you get scared. It's going too fast for me. I might fall off. I might crash. I might smack into a brick wall. As if suddenly one would appear. Of course it will if you create it. But again, understand that if you create that brick wall, that's an indication you are no longer on the leading edge. Brick walls do not exist by definition on the leading edge. They only exist back down the line, in the wake, in one of the eddies, in one of the currents that is representative of belief systems that there are such things as brick walls. But if you're truly riding the leading edge, truly, as you say, surfing the crest, then you will understand that just like being on the top of the mountain, you have a clear and unobstructed view of everything in front of you. And you ride that wave right into ecstasy. Ride the leading edge of the ecstasy. Allow yourself the opportunity to know you can. You don't have to choose to. But then if you don't be surprised by what is commensurate for that level. It's completely up to you what to lock onto, what to believe, what to align with, what to associate yourself with. You can, on one hand, say, I understand these concepts. I believe these concepts. I will live these concepts. I am this idea. It can happen instantly, effortlessly, miraculously, wonderfully, joyfully, creatively, lovingly, now for me. Or you can recognize that you tend, quote unquote, choose to gravitate more to informational sources that confirm your own fear. Well, one should take their time. Well, one has to be careful with this stuff. Now, we understand that there is such a thing as recognizing and honoring whatever belief system you happen to have, and not pushing yourself beyond it if you truly don't believe you can, because that would simply be disastrous. But the idea is to understand and to clearly take responsibility for knowing that if you are aligning with someone that says, well, you can't just go full throttle because you have to be careful that you're not doing this and you're not doing that. You might fool yourself here, you might fool yourself there, and you have to take it easy. If you align yourself with that, that's all well and good. But understand that you are choosing to, and it has nothing at all to do with the fact that you could change your belief and allow yourself to ride the leading edge where things manifest instantaneously. You could. But if you are not, it's your choice. And that's, once again, where you really need to be passionate about being passionate and find out why you are choosing to not ride the leading edge. You will obviously have your own reason for not doing so. Whatever that reason is, whatever you feel is the need for safety, is up to you to determine. but just take responsibility and recognize the responsibility and the choice that you are making for understanding that it's not empirically true that you have to do it that way. It's not empirically true that you have to listen to what that person is saying as opposed to what this person is saying. It's just your choice. Take responsibility for it and then be passionate about finding out why you believe what you do, so that you can, if you are willing, open up to new beliefs that will allow you to move up the spectrum and be in the violet instead of in the red, financially speaking. So, allow yourselves to simply at every given moment recognize what you're doing. Let go of the need to understand the how of it. Because you see, one of the things that stops many of you from having the experiences that were described in the recording is that, for example, when someone says, well, you know, I simply got into the state where I believed I would simply receive more checks. Your physical, logical, reasonable mind goes, well, where the heck are they supposed to come from? I haven't done anything to earn that money. What are you saying? That some stranger just suddenly going to get into his head to pop a check in the mail to me for no reason whatsoever, and I'm just going to go to my mailbox and open a check that comes from a total stranger that's suddenly giving me exactly what I want? Yes! Yes, that is what's being said. Yes, that is one possible way. Yes, that is one possible example of what could happen. But when your logical, reasonable, physical mind going, how does that make any sense? The thing to remind it is that it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to make sense. When you stop needing it to make sense, then you'll make dollars. You have got to give up. You've got to give up your need, your physical mind's need for everything to have a reason, for everything to make logical sense in the physical third dimensional world. If you say you wish to live in fourth density reality, you must give up the things that are commensurate with the three-dimensional world, such as logic, reason. Not totally. I'm not saying be willy-nilly, fly by the seat of your pants people. I'm saying be aware of the fact that these things are simply points of view, and that you often stop yourselves from allowing these things to come to you because you logic them to death. You detail them to death, literally. You look for a chain of reasonable connection. And believe me, in fourth density reality, there are many chains that to a third density mind are not reasonable or rational at all. You have asked us, how do we travel from star to star? And we have explained to you, we don't travel from star to star. We're simply here, then we're simply there. The logical mind boggles. But how did you get there? How is it possible to go from here to there without stepping on all the places in between? That's not rational. That's not logical. Yes, it is from a different point of view. I'm talking about not abandoning logic. I'm talking about higher logic. The logic that comes from standing on the mountaintop where you can see the entire valley, the entire network, and where it makes sense to you on the mountaintop to say, if you actually go back 3 steps and then to the left, you're actually going to get there more quickly than if you just go straight ahead. Whereas down in the valley, the logical mind self is going, but everyone knows the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And if I go backwards, how can I get there sooner than if I go forwards? How? And the higher self goes, ugh. Because I can see that if you go forward there, the bridge is out. And if you take 3 steps back and go to the left, you go on a parallel road where the bridge is fine. But the point is that the language of the higher self cannot always communicate all those specifics to the physical mind, because the physical mind does not always have the capacity for that kind of translation. The only way that that dialogue, most often than not from the higher self, translates to the physical mind is simply suddenly the urge to go back. The urge itself, the intuition itself, in the physical mind is the condensation and capsulization of the entire explanation from the higher self, saying, if you go 3 steps back and then go to the left and go down the parallel road, then the bridge is up. But all the physical mind will get is the tug. That's how it translates in physical reality, because the physical mind is not capable of actually perceiving in the same way the higher self is, and doesn't have to know all the reasons why and how. All it needs to do is know that that's part of who you are, and allow yourself to recognize that that is a communication and to follow it, and that you have received the information that you need, because it's on the same wavelength of your joy, of your passion. Why? Because you say it is. And you flow with it, and thus find out that it is. Or resist it for as long as you want, and keep walking on the same road until you get to the washed out bridge and go, oh, why didn't I listen to my intuition back there? Because you thought you were in charge, smarty. But you're not. Not you alone. You are in charge, but not you alone, physical mind. Physical mind, higher self, that's the you that's in charge. Both aspects of your being is the persona, not just the physical personality self. That's only a part of it. So if you want to know you're in charge, you have to behave like the whole you, and be willing to open up and receive and perceive in whatever way it works for you, the dialogue and the communication coming from the portion of yourself that is the higher self, that has the higher point of view, that has the bigger picture, and be willing to understand it's working on your behalf. It's not going to trick you. It's not going to deceive you. The only thing in your reality that can create the idea of tricks and deception is the physical mind's belief system, not the higher self. Because it is only in physical three-dimensional reality that you can have the experience of a personality structure that can actually deny its own truth. So any tricks, any deception that you may be afraid of encountering can only actually be coming from the personality aspect that's actually afraid it's going to be deceived. That's the paradox. It can't come from the higher self because that's a bigger picture point of view. And it can clearly see the road. And there is no reason, there is no logic for the higher self to go, yeah, take the left road. Watch and see how my lower self falls into the river. This ought to be fun. Oops, I went with it. You are under the assumption that the higher self is immune from what you experience in physical reality. Incorrect. You are one being, and the higher self will suffer the slings and arrows that the physical mind shoots itself with. You are one being, and it is not detached from you, and it is not immune to the consequences of the physical mind's choices. But because the higher self is closer to the vibration of unconditional love, it will overlook it again and again and again and again, attempting to unconditionally loving you, reminding you, please take the other road, please. Oh, here we go again. It is not immune to the consequences of the physical mind's acts and choices. Do not assume that it is. But it is close enough to unconditional love to forgive it and to keep giving you the benefit of the doubt. That's the relationship of your higher self. That's its job. To keep on guiding you no matter what. Because it is the vibration of unconditional love that the physical mind often refuses to allow itself to perceive. Through the belief systems it chooses to buy into that deny its truth to itself. So, higher self says, please, 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 please know you are loved. Please, please, please allow me to love you. Please, please, please love yourself enough to know you're not alone in this. That you don't have to do it all. That you weren't designed to. You weren't expected to. Ever. Not once. Carry this burden by yourself. Let me be your guide because I am you. Become familiar with that portion of yourself. It is not detached. It is not separate. It is not aloof. It is not in its own realm, unaware of what you are choosing to experience. It will also experience it in its own way. But nevertheless, will always overlook it and always urge you forward. Or left, or back, or whatever is necessary. Take a deep breath and let this sink in deeply, deeply, deeply. And allow yourself to at least consider the possibility that you deserve to be on the leading edge of the crest of the wave of consciousness of the transformation. Take another deep breath. Now, in terms of your time frame, what is the time remaining for the segment of this transmission? All right. In these 20 minutes, let us move to a different level of understanding of this leading edge and this wave of transformation. As we have said, obviously, wherever it is you decide to position yourself, either at the leading edge or in the wake, there will be consequences commensurate to whatever vibratory gradation you are choosing to reside in. I will now explain and describe one of the effects that is now going on relative to us and others like us with respect to this vibrational wave of your leading edge of critical mass consciousness. Some time ago, in terms of time as you count time, we told you that things would be speeding up, and that if you did not align yourself very rapidly with your true passion, it's not that you couldn't do it later, but that you would make it more difficult to do later because you would feel that you had to hurry up and catch up, and there would be more details for your rational mind to have to deal with and integrate in order for you to match the frequency of the now accelerating leading edge of that wave. Here is another example of what we mean by that, and why it is so important, if you wish to be true to yourself, to really let yourself go to ride that leading edge and not hang back. But again, it's up to you. But here is another effect with respect to us. You must understand, we have an agreement with your collective consciousness. In order for us to be able to interact with you in this way, in order for us to be able to impart these kinds of ideas and this kind of information to you and to share with you and discuss with you these notions, we have to abide by the vibrational agreement we have made. As you accelerate, and I know this is going to get a little bit heady, but follow along. It'll be worth it. As you accelerate, every moment you change, you are creating new parallel realities to go along with the change in you. Because every change is a total change, as we have said. And when you talk about total change, we mean universal change. So every change is a whole new parallel reality. Even if one parallel reality may be only different from another by one atom, it's still a completely different reality. Totally different. And as you change and as you make decisions, you go through, you bring yourself through a succession of parallel reality shifts so automatically, so smoothly, you don't even always recognize that that's what you're doing. But you see, movement itself, the perception of movement of any kind, is actually the perception of a succession of parallel realities. This is one reality. This is another. 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 And in between those positions were an infinite number of other parallel realities that we have all just agreed to go through together. And so we all think we're all in the same room at the same time, and that nothing much has changed except maybe that it's getting a little bit closer to lunch. But you see, for as many of you as are quote-unquote in the room, there are that many rooms, literally distinctly different rooms. And each of you is actually creating that room and all the people in it in your universe, just as someone else is agreeing to create that room and all the people in it in their universe. And those two points of view will actually not only be slightly different as points of view, they will not actually be different points of view of the same room at all. They will be points of view of completely different parallel reality rooms. The only reason you have a common experience at all is that you agree to in any way, shape, or form. But here is the thing. As you upgrade, as you levitate your frequency, as you raise it up and enlighten yourself and create parallel realities, shift yourself to parallel realities that are more representative of that change, then as we have said, certain things will no longer be experienced or perceived by you, because they are simply no longer of the vibration of the new reality you have shifted to. This, we believe, we think, we suppose, we assume, you all kind of get. But what you may not realize is that our agreement with your higher consciousness allows us to interact with you in certain ways on certain levels. But when you shift yourself to another level, you are then allowed to perceive that aspect of us that has made the agreement to interact with you on that level. But if you don't shift to that level, you will not perceive that aspect of us that has agreed to interact with anyone on that level. And as things change, and as the leading edge of your collective consciousness moves forward toward critical mass, a lot of the positions farther down the line in the wake of the leading edge are vibrationally no longer representative of our ability to interact. And so, for anyone staying in those vibrations, we and all such information will begin to unplug and disappear from your reality as we move up the line. That's why we urge you to keep pace with us. Because if you experience that sensation of being left behind, it's not because we're leaving you behind. It's because you're choosing to be left behind. Because we are not in control of this. You are. It's your consciousness determining these different gradients within the collective wake behind the leading edge. We cannot and are not allowed to and are not in control of interacting at those points farther down the line anymore. We have no say in it. When your collective consciousness determines that somewhere far down the wake is no longer vibrationally conducive to the vibration of our interaction with your consciousness in that state, then it is your collective consciousness that is making that reality experience happen. We cannot control that. We do not control that. We are not leaving anyone behind. You are choosing to be left behind if you no longer experience us or information of this nature in those states. That's why we urge you, come with us, come with us. We are always inviting you to come with us. But coming with us means you must change. Because where we are all going, the you have been cannot exist. So we are constantly inviting you to come with us. If you don't come with us, it's not because we have left you out. It's because you have. We don't wish you to. That's why we constantly invite you to change and are constantly reflecting the nature of that change so that when you pick up on it and when you match our frequency, you can change in that way and be equals with us on that level and move forward toward more and more and more and more and more crystallized realization and manifestation of contact, wherein we will then be on a similar enough vibratory level that we can simply continually interact from that point forward. But if you don't move forward through what you may perceive to be changes you don't want, you will not be able to actually experience that reality, and you will no longer be able to experience us or anything like us, because we will simply no longer be germane for the gradient in which you have chosen to remain. Ooh, that rhymed. This is the nature of our agreement with your collective consciousness. So it's out of our hands, and that's why we've always said it's completely up to you. Completely up to you. But things are accelerating. Things are changing. That's the reason why you perceive changes in us. Changes in our agenda. Changes in our accessibility, our availability. Come with us. Come with us and learn new ways of accessing what we are, what you are, what the universe is. And then you will know you are never cut off. You are never left behind. You are never out of touch if you don't prefer to be. But the physical mind may say, again with its rational self, but I want to be in touch this way or that way. But that may not be conducive to the leading edge. Therefore, in its insistence to be in charge, it will remain where it chooses to remain, and it will receive the consequences of the vibration of that gradient. No more, no less. And it can choose to change from there anytime it wishes, but again, it will do so in a different way. And it will not necessarily have available to it the same things it did have when it had the opportunity to take advantage of the things that existed in that gradient for as long as they did. Move with it. Move with it. Ride the wave. Come with us. Come with us. Come with us. We invite you. We invite you. Your higher self invites you to be whole, to be a whole person. The whole secret to the secret is nothing more than just really being willing to be yourself, your full self, and act like it, and behave like it, and know that it's always in your best interests to do so. Always in your best interest to do so. Because that's the definition of being whole. The only way it would not be in your best interest is for the physical mind to make that assumption and behave as if that's true. And of course, if the physical mind believes that's true, then for the physical person, it will be true. And that will be the experience. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, but it's in your hands. It's not in ours. We are not in charge of your collective consciousness. You are. So make up your mind where you wish to be. Remember who you are. Remember that you are equal. Let go of the reasons you are not. There is on your planet another, shall we call it, methodology, permission slip, style, technique, exercise, seminar, that discusses the issues of, again, money, as a symbol, as an idea, to discuss all these things. And it talks about the symptomologies, shall we say, the signs, the symbols that represent a certain state of being. It talks about the idea of how to recognize when you are in a state of self-victimization. The three main symptoms that it talks about are that when a person is exhibiting a state of self-victimization, they will usually do three main things. They will project blame on others for their situation. They will complain about the situation that they are in. And most paradoxically of all, they will actually justify being in that state of being. Blame, complaint, justification are the three main symptoms of self-victimization. So if your behavior exhibits these qualities, then you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that's the state of being you are choosing to be in. And that will not be conducive to riding the wave, the leading edge. It will be conducive to finding a spot somewhere in one of the swirling eddies down behind the wake, somewhere down the line where you can go ahead and spin your wheels as much as you wish. Until such time as you're tired of that and decide to start going with the flow. Up to you. We cannot change that for you. We cannot. It is not in our power. It is only in our power to remind you of who you are, and then through unconditional love to allow you to choose who you prefer to be. But there are always consequences to every choice. This is not a judgment. It is not a punishment. It is simply physics. All we are suggesting is that you relax your physical mind and get with the program. It's up to you. It's your program. And we're attempting to assist you by defining in detail what the program is, so that you can have clarity about what you're doing and what you prefer to do. And so you can make choices that are based on that clarity.
I live in the East Bay, and I was listening to the trains in the distance, and I had this insight that I was just far enough away that I thought the sound was very beautiful.
Yes.
But I used to work a little bit at Jack London Square, and when I would be right by it and the horns would blow, it would disturb me. It was so loud I couldn't have peace.
Yes.
Well, I couldn't. Anyway, and I thought that I got the idea that life is like where you're standing, that gives you the perspective.
Yes.
And sometimes when you talked before about it's all about the journey.
Yes.
In some places I can see, like where I'm at is like right next to the train, not feeling very at peace. But
Yes.
then I see the perspective like being like up in the hills, and I can see it, and I can
Yes.
see the beauty of the lessons I'm learning.
Yes. One of
And-
which is obviously be where you rather would be.
Right, right. Do you have any advice about how, if I'm in like the area of the right next to the train where it's a little bit chaotic, to be in that place, but also to have a far enough back perspective to realize that enjoying the unfolding of the lessons?
Yes, but I just gave you the advice. In other words, the lesson may be, don't be so close to the train, if that's not what you prefer. It might simply be that you attract things sometimes in your lives that you don't prefer to make it clearer by comparison what you do prefer. And that may be the only lesson sometimes. It can be that simple.
What if you're not sure about how to get some distance from that train or that situation?
You don't know how to walk away?
I guess.
You guess?
Yeah. I guess I choose not to walk away.
Because, and here come the belief systems, yes?
Correct.
See how we always go back to that?
Yes.
That's how. You examine the beliefs that prevent you from doing what you say you would prefer to do. Because if you're not doing what you prefer to do, that can only mean you have beliefs that make what you're doing seem to be better than the alternative that you know would actually be better for you. So you have to find out what that belief is that could make something you don't prefer seem so much like something you would rather do than what you actually say you would rather do. That can only be because you have a belief that's making it look better than the alternative.
Okay.
So find out what that belief is and let it go.
Okay.
And you'll have learned the lesson.
Thank you, Bashar.
Does that help?
Yes. Good day.
Good day. This is what we call the motivational mechanism. You all have the same motivational mechanism. You will always, 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 without fail, move in the direction of what you believe to be to your benefit. You will always, 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 without fail, move away from what you believe is not to your benefit. So if you understand that mechanism, then if you're doing something you know is not to your benefit, the only reason you would do that is you must have a belief that makes it appear to be more beneficial than the alternative. Find out what that belief is and let it go. You'll flip it around and start moving in the direction of what you know you actually do prefer that is to your benefit. It's that simple. Yes?
Good day, Bashar.
And good day to you.
So I was attached to the outcome of talking to you before lunch, so to bypass that, I want to ask you this.
Yes.
Could you scan my energy from 2 hours ago and let me know if I'm vibrationally ready to adopt a breatharian lifestyle where I'm nourished more by energy than by food?
No.
Thank you.
You're getting there, but no. Not yet.
Thank you. I didn't think so. One of the things, well, well, to help me along my way.
Yes.
Today, when we went to lunch, was the first time I ate solid food since last Saturday.
All right.
The hunger wasn't the issue, it's the emotional journey that I had during, which I see as the problem. Do you see?
What's the emotional journey that's a problem?
Where I felt anxiety that I couldn't do this or I shouldn't do this.
You mean eat?
Well, eating wasn't the problem. Yeah.
What is it you're referring to specifically?
I was doing the water fast, and I was doing the first 2 days. I felt dizzy and felt I should stop. But then after the third and fourth day, everything returned back to normal.
Yes.
And I felt I could keep going.
It sometimes takes a while for your body to adjust to something like that, yes.
Okay. Is there anything that I should do that you would recommend to?
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do you believe you need to do this?
Oh, it's not that I need to do it. It's for, along with following my passion, it gives me more time to pursue my passion.
Which is what?
In creating art, creating music, and creating dance.
So you believe that taking time to eat prevents you from expressing your art?
It does. Yes, it does, especially for computer graphics, since I'm in there. when I'm creating on the computer, it's like I'm in my zone, so I don't like to be interrupted. And 8 hours doesn't feel like 8 hours. It can feel like an hour.
All right, we understand. But then at the end of that 8 hours that feels like an hour, which, by the way, means you've only aged an hour, you understand?
Yes.
Then does it not seem that timing has arrived for you to do something else or nourish yourself or what have you?
Well, sometimes I forget about it. I forget about needing to eat.
Well, do you feel like you actually need to eat at those moments?
No.
All right, well then don't. Are there times that come up that feel like you need to eat?
Sure.
Well, then eat at those times.
Okay.
Is this really that complicated?
Well,
it's following your natural biological cycle. That's all. Act on your passion. Let the organizing principle of synchronicity continue to inform you of what you need to do next, so that when you are tired, you will be sleepy and go to sleep. When you are hungry, you will eat. If you're not hungry, don't eat. If you're not sleepy, don't sleep. Follow the natural biological rhythm that synchronicity provides for you, as long as you make sure you're not forcing yourself to do that through some idea that you're supposed to, or some idea that you're missing out on something, or that it's an interruption in your flow of creativity. Just let synchronicity show you when those things will actually be beneficial to allow you to continue your flow of creativity instead of looking at them as an interruption in it.
Okay.
Then they'll come in a more natural way. Yes?
Thank you. Yes. So go along with the previous question.
Yes.
And even why I'm questioning you.
Yes.
And it's so are you saying I shouldn't look for an external validation of what I'm doing rather than look towards myself? Okay.
Allow yourself to act on your passion and let synchronicity guide you and show you what you need to do when you need to do it, and don't ignore it.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
And it's funny, it's like the answers I already know, and
I know.
And I need your and I don't need
I'm not telling any of you anything you don't know. I'm just reminding you of what you've forgotten.
Okay.
That's all. Yes?
And I had another question about virtual reality, and if you're familiar with that technology as it is. Okay. So,
very much more so than you are.
Very good. I'd like to hear all about it. What I'm doing in Follow My Passion is going fully into virtual reality and virtual reality development.
Yes.
What I want to do is make an impact for children who are can use it as an educational and entertainment tool. Can you give me an example of how to use this technology to increase empathy?
You can create through your virtual reality a safe space for them to explore certain actions, and in a safe space understand the consequences of the choices they're making without actual harm to them. So you can teach them to learn to be independent, self-reliant, connected to their own self-empowerment by training them in a virtual reality where the outcome actually doesn't have any real physical detriments to their real physical lives, but teaches them this does this choice leads to that, think about this, consider this, and then you will make them well-educated beings who understand the consequences of choices.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very helpful. And it's more like I'm looking into the mirror and hearing myself say the same things.
That's exactly what it's like, because as I remind all of you from time to time, when you're talking to us, you're actually having a conversation with your own higher minds. You're just using us as a mask to have an excuse to do so. And we're happy to participate. But you are talking to yourselves in this conversation.
Thank you, Bashar.
You're welcome. Yes, we are very tricky.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
I listened to Daryl in an interview with Jimmy Church.
Yes.
And Jimmy Church asked Daryl if anyone had asked about Göbekli Tepe.
Yes.
And nobody said, he said no. So I want to ask that question.
Yes.
But let me comment on that first.
By all means.
When I was thinking about this question last night, I was like, okay, if I get picked, I'm going to ask this question. I saw myself at Göbekli Tepe, which I didn't think I had a simultaneous life there.
Well, you may have created it in that instant.
Okay, if I did. Okay. And there was no moon, and I saw a meteor come
Yes.
and strike, and that's why it's gone. And I don't know if I made that up because I have a really bizarre imagination.
It's a little bit of a combination of different things.
Okay.
You're actually consolidating in one small time frame things that happened over larger spans of time. So it's a center of learning, or was in your language, a center for the training of certain ideas, and also a representation of ancient knowledge in symbolic form that was designed to be preserved for later generations, because it was already understood that cyclical cataclysms like cometary impacts, meteoric bombardments do happen on your planet from time to time, and it was an attempt to preserve that knowledge for later generations that would dig it up. It was deliberately buried. You understand? Mm-hmm. So as to protect it from the cyclic cataclysms that do happen on your planet from time to time.
So who deliberately, did the civilization that was there deliberately bury it?
Yes, that's what we're saying.
Okay.
It was a training center up to a certain point that allowed for the reaching out of the consciousness into higher esoteric realms to gather knowledge and information. And one of the pieces of information that they gathered was the existence of these cyclic catastrophes. So they said, well, at a certain point coming up, we need to preserve this, so we will bury it so that future generations will not lose this knowledge.
Does that civilization still exist in our current timeline, or are they all gone? The people who...
They have all been absorbed into other cultures at this point.
Okay. Okay, next topic. I know you don't answer health questions anymore.
But you're going to ask it anyway?
Well, I've been taking this product called Carbon C60.
Yes.
Not like every day or anything, but I think have seen some results from it.
All right, well, good for you.
So I wanted, is that a permission slip, or is it something?
All tools, all rituals, all techniques, all objects are permission slips. Did I leave anything out?
No. But does it have like some...
You infuse your physical reality with certain effects, because that's the rules of the game you're playing. There will be such a thing as a chemical effect. There will be such a thing as an atomic level effect. There will be such a thing as a neurological effect. Your rules of playing the game have some automatic functions, so you don't have to think about them. So you've embedded automatic functions that you call chemistry and physics and other similar ideas into the matrix of the space-time fabric, so that you will simply experience the consequence of a choice you make in any particular permission slip direction.
But does it actually have some chemical, or is it...
What did I just say?
Okay, I get it. Okay, last question.
You create the idea that these things have chemical effects.
So does that mean, like, sometimes things work for some people and they don't?
Correct.
Okay, because that's not an appropriate permission slip for them.
Correct.
Okay.
See, now you're getting it.
Okay.
And that's why also people who have learned the skill and arrived at levels that you sometimes call things like shamans and so on and so forth, can actually ingest certain things that might have a lethal chemical effect on most people, and they feel nothing because they understand it's just an illusion, and that they can change the space-time rules for themselves. They have learned to make time and space more malleable, more flexible, because they understand it's not really real.
Okay.
That's why that works, is because it's just an agreement that you've all made to produce an effect to make physical reality seem more real.
All right.
It reinforces the idea because you don't have to think about it. It functions on automatic. Yes?
Yes.
It's like stepping onto an escalator in your society. You don't have to do anything but stand there for it to take you up to the next floor. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to walk. You just rise to the next level because you've all agreed that's what an escalator does. So you've all agreed that there are such a thing as chemical effects. Most of you, anyway.
Okay. And my last question is, you've talked about that there's parallel tracks.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think there was discoveries about certain worlds, so it's not just 1 or 2 parallel tracks.
Oh, no.
There might be maybe 7 to 9.
Oh, there might be many, many more. But you may only experience a finite amount of them that are relevant for your experience at this time. That doesn't mean there aren't others that you will experience later.
Okay.
Yes?
So my question was,
Yes.
I have star babies, and
You're talking about hybrid children.
yes.
All right.
3 more just came yesterday while I was in the kitchen. But in all of the parallel tracks,
Yes.
I've been told by them that they will stay with me, but in all the
We
different,
do not understand what that means. What will stay with you?
the children,
In all parallel tracks?
that's what I'm asking. Do they?
No.
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 So if I get off on the wrong track, do I lose them?
You can go back to the other track, or at least something similar, if you understand that you have stepped off the track that you prefer to be on.
So I guess my question is, similar, like, is there a Bashar in different parallel tracks?
Absolutely.
Okay. And
I am also beside myself many times.
so but each of the parallel tracks are going to be almost diametrically opposed, where you can't jump from one to the other at some point, right?
At some point, for certain tracks, and in other tracks, that's not the case.
Oh, that's a nuance then.
It is a nuance.
Because
Yes.
a couple years ago, you said, I think the thing about the tracks and you couldn't jump.
Yes, but
So
I
now
was talking about the tracks you were on at the time.
So now we have more tracks, so they weren't.
Yes.
We can jump again.
Because as you expand, you gain more ability to jump farther from track to track.
So is there different versions of you on the positive track saying different things?
Somewhat. Whatever's relevant for those tracks, yes.
Wow, that's really, so that I came up with that a few months ago. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense.
Sure it does.
If the tracks are diametrically opposed, but now
I didn't say they were diametrically opposed.
well, 2 years ago they were, and now we have a nuance that now you can jump.
No. You misunderstood
Okay.
what we said. We simply said they might be diverging from one another. We didn't say they were diametrically opposed necessarily. There may be some that are, and on those, we won't have a representation.
So as long as, well, I'm going to just assume I'm always on the right track. I can't.
Are we talking?
Yes.
Then you're on a track where we exist in a way like this.
Yeah, and I can feel that
Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
the kids are going to land and I'm going to see them, and I'm really
Maybe.
excited about that.
No insistence.
No one's just,
No insistence.
Okay.
Insistence is resistance. So to insist limits you in ways you don't prefer to be limited. Insistence is resistance. Don't slow everything down by insisting on speeding things up. Stay in the present, and it will accelerate beyond your imagination.
Okay.
Because now is where everything happens. Nothing ever happens then.
Like you're talking.
It all happens now.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to tell you, Bashar, and how grateful I am for you and Daryl, and
Oh,
I
thank
love you
you.
very, very much.
Our unconditional love to you and all of you, as always, and in all ways.
Thank you. Yes, ever since I was very young, I know I've been awakened to a lot of things that are being said today,
Yes.
but, and I've gone through so many experiences of, that I never understood, or no
Yes.
one understood me, and I
Yes.
had no one to go to
Until now.
until now. It's a little late, I think.
No. No.
But
Perfect timing.
I
Perfect
have
timing.
done almost every experience that I read about or I hear someone did, and I would like to know why. Since I was a child, I had the people that I loved surrounding me brought a lot of pain because they didn't understand me, and as I grew up, I only had pain because of the way I was.
And
I
yet,
had- and
it
still-
propelled you in this direction, didn't it? Because it gave you
Yes.
such a strong indication of what you didn't prefer, you had no choice but go in the direction of what you did prefer.
Yes.
So they did you the service of squeezing you
Yes,
until you shot out in the direction that served you.
that's right.
I know, that's why I said it.
Thank you.
Therefore, no need to look at that in a painful way now.
Yeah, I don't see it in a painful way. What I feel now is my heart beating to be
Yes.
able to express everything that I have learned and experienced.
All right.
And I don't know how.
You don't know how to do what?
I do know that I'm a channel, I'm a transmedium, but I don't know.
What?
I don't know what to do with it.
What do you mean you don't know what to do with it? I
I
thought you
want
just said you
to-
were a channel and a transmedium.
I know, but I don't know how to prepare it to be able to share it with others.
Well, then you will never share it with others if you don't start sharing it with others. Remember what we said about you have to take the step first?
Yes, I know. I learned a lot tonight.
Then please
Or
just
today.
do it and you will see where it leads you.
I know.
You will never know where it's going to go if you don't take the first step. So if you're going to be of service to others, then be of service to others. Allow them to participate and take advantage of your gift. Why not?
Thank you. I got
What
it.
are you afraid will happen? More pain? Thought you said you let
No,
that go.
then I have self-doubts
That's pain.
from me.
That's pain that you're holding on to, that you're generating, that you're creating. Why? You don't deserve that, do you?
No.
Well, then stop.
All right.
Do you understand that there's no such thing as doubt? Doubt is simply a full trust in something you don't prefer.
Yeah.
So why trust things you don't prefer? Why not use your trust for things you do? And by the way, now, please understand, I'm not being judgmental here. I'm not being mean to you.
I know.
But I'm going to use these words because it may just simply drive the point home a little more clearly. By holding your gift back from those that need it, you're being awfully selfish.
I know. I feel like that sometimes.
Well, do you want to be selfish in that negative way?
Not
Then
at all.
don't deprive people of the gifts that you could be giving them that they may need from you. That's very mean. Don't be mean.
All right.
Let go, share, and let the people get out of it what they're going to get out of it. Not everyone will get the same thing. Not everyone may even honor what you have to give. But if you just give it, those that need to get it will get it. Those that don't need to get it won't, but at least the ones that need it will get it. Yes?
Yes.
Does this
I get
help?
it. I get it.